The next thing we're going to do is tighten down these bolts here. These should be tightened down, the rocker shaft bolts should be 5 Newton meters, which is that already. Well, I've got them tightened down too tight already. Wait a minute. Let's back them off. Right, here. There's 5. A bit too tight, that one. 5, and then the nuts are 5 as well, and then you have to go a further 50 degrees. See, they're already tight though. 5's not much. 5. Now, I'm going to have to find some adapters to put these quarter drives on to get it to 50 degrees. Let me see. I managed to find some adapters to take it on the quarter drive. So we're going to start on the centre bolt here. We're going to zero the gauge. And turn it 50 degrees. I can't see that, can I? The exhaust manifold nuts on here are 45 Newton meters. Now this is very strange because on this sheet of paper when I was looking at it, which I got off the Land Rover 300 TDI engine overhaul page, it wasn't on. So I don't know what Land Rover think of sometimes. So let's start with us in the middle, the bolt underneath here, the nut I should say. There we go. We'll tighten that one down. Takes a little bit of winding down, but I'll sort of show you the pattern starting to go down now. Look. There we go. That's that one. And then we'll do this one, and then the diagonal opposites. Just before we fit those manifold bolts and tighten them, torque them down, we're going to fit the water return pipe on the top there. Take note, just run these through a wire brush or something. I'm going to do the same with this stub here and get out as much corrosion off there as you can, because otherwise it could leak. Oh, and that's the way it goes up. That little bracket goes to the head. Alright? Let's get them tightened down. It's most critical now when we're doing the valve clearances to do, I do them without the injectors in or the glow plugs when possible, because it makes it a lot easier to turn over. And usually what I do is if I have got the injectors and things like that in, I jack it up and put it into four-wheel drive and spin the front wheel, and that turns the engine. But because there's very little resistance in this, I can actually put a key on the water pump on the fan pulley and turn it, and I'm just doing them like my way, which is when I see those valves rocking there like that one, I know that these two are needing to be set. It's I've done it before. Have a look up for valve clearances, but it's most important that now we've set the original head gasket was a 3-hole. Now we've gone back down to the original 1-hole. that we get the clearances right, because there's now a thinner gasket, and as you can see, that one there we can drive a bus through. It should be 0.23 of a millimetre or 0.008 of an inch. Well, look at that there, man. And that was the one without the cap on. It must have been making a hell of a noise. Is it that one? Oh, it's this one here. Yeah, that must have been making a hell of a noise. So I'll grab a screwdriver and I'll start to set the valves. With the valves all set as best as we could, there was some quite a long way out. And now we're going to clean up the rest of these hoses, fit these hoses front and back, and then we'll drop the rocker box on. Kind of easy, isn't it? I've just put the rocker cover on with the old gasket. I think it's going to leak, but just for now, just so we can get it out of the yard, we should be alright. It needs to be tightened down to 10 Newton meters. Might be alright, just drop it in there. We'll just wind these down a little bit. That's 10. This one doesn't click as much as the rest of it. Yeah, it's just gone there. You would just have to feel this one. There we go, that's it. So next thing, we'll clean up the pipes, and we're going to put the intake manifold on, but we're going to fit the pipes first because it's so much easier to get to the hose clips. See? And then, before we do the injection system, I'm going to see if we can get these bolts off here. Maybe, maybe not, because it's easy to do with the manifold off. Right, let's put some hoses on. Removing this exhaust gas recirculation valve to blank it off is a bit of a nightmare really, because when you put your socket on you can't get it down. I think what they've done is they've screwed this piece on first with 2 Allen bolts, then screwed this piece on at the top. Well, it's not going to come off, is it? So I'm going to use the grinder and cut it off. Be careful. So with that removed, it's quite easy to get off. We're going to try and get these studs out of here now. I used to give them a belt on the sides and warm them up a bit. Well, we won't need that paper in there because otherwise we'll catch fire now. It might work. As I said, we've got 2 chances, haven't we? Put that up there. Now we've got a socket now. Look how easy it is to get into there. Ooh, that's ½ inch. Let me go and get it. Right, I've disappeared to get my big bar. We'll get that out there. Oh, look at that. Get on. If only they all came out like that, eh? Usually the buggers they snap off you now. Actually, you know, what I might be tempted to do, I bet that's heavy, what I might be tempted to do is make my own blanking plate, because I've got the gasket and I've got the bolts. There's nothing to stop me making one. Soon knock one up with the plasma. Right, let's see if we can get this bottom one out. Ah, well, bugger me. To get this started round, I just thought I'd tap it round a bit, and somebody's already put one in. Ha! But we've got all of that trouble. Oh, well, that's going to make my life a little bit easier. No wonder the bolts came out. Look at that, won't even tape. I don't know how the hell they've done that. Let's have a look. There you go. Ah, they've sort of put it in arse first, look. Backwards, I mean. Because there's the plate, but there's a gasket on this side. So let's see if we can get that plate off, and we'll put a gasket and new bolts in. Oh, I'm just going to check the depth of the bolt, the studs here, see how deep I can go. I won't go that deep on that one. Plenty enough on there, but you know this one here? I think they'd snapped it off, you know. There's hardly any thread in it. I'm going to put some, so that's the way it should go on. The plate should go on the outside and the gasket in the middle, you know, towards the manifold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some thread guard on these bolts and see if they'll go in. So I might as well finish off this side whilst I'm working here. I've got the turbo pipes back on. I put new copper washers on the oil feed pipe for the turbo. I put the bolt back in for the dipstick, really important. Cut a few cable ties off that were sticking out, didn't like those. Hoses on. Next thing, intake manifold. We might as well put that on. The intake cleaned up really well in the ultrasonic, because man was it filthy. Look at the inside now, it's like a new one. Look. Bung that on. Find the bolts, torque it down. Like I said, then we can move the camera and go over the other side and look at the injection system. We've still got a long way to go, but at least we're getting there. Now, a couple of these nuts. In fact, what I'll do for this manifold, just to make life a little bit more easier, we'll put that down there a minute. We'll start the nuts off first. You see what I mean? Because they're a little bit easier to get started. There you go. There we go. And then that. There's one under there. And then there's one under here. Don't look at the camera. Look at the job. Kind of easy to go down the side there. I'll just spin those down without a ratchet, just put them down out of finger tape. I'll finger tighten them down, and I'll figure out what the torque is. I'm working backwards. I've got this towards my garage door because I haven't got a table to put any of my bloody tools on, because the car's in backwards. I couldn't get it in because the towing hitch was a bit fragile. I didn't want to lift it up. The stud and nut are 25 Newton meters. There's a bit of fiddling about, but never mind. What's that now? That's the 13. So we'll do these. One. Here. just a little shield to go on there, and that side's done. And there's just this little shield. Sometimes this is missing, well, most of the times it's missing. They're little tiny headed bolts. I think they're either 6 or 7 millimetre. Yeah, I think it's just to protect the hose from heat, but it vibrates off eventually. Let me first go and get a spanner and make sure I know which one it is. So there you go, they were just 7 millimetre. Apart from putting the hose on for the intercooler and the top hose for the radiator, this side is done. So it's, oh look at that, it's 20 past 1. Funny how a day goes, eh? So I'm going to go and have another quick cup of tea and then I'll come back and get this finished.